She woke to the sound of something moving inside her apartment, fast, deliberate, and absolutely not trying to hide. The kind of movement that didn't belong to anyone who needed permission to be there. She pushed herself upright, and the noise stopped instantly, as if it had been waiting for her to notice. A shadow cut across the hallway, not drifting or stretching, but passing, like someone had just walked straight through her home with the confidence of someone who lived there. She didn't call out, she didn't move, she just listened as another sound followed, something sliding across the floor, heavy enough to scrape wood. Then came the unmistakable click of her bathroom door closing. Not a creak, not a drift, a hand on the knob, turning it with purpose. She stood, every instinct screaming at her to run, but the apartment felt wrong in a way she couldn't name. Not smaller, not tighter, just occupied, like she had stepped into someone else's space without realizing it. The bathroom door opened again, but nothing stepped out. Something waited just beyond the frame, not hiding, simply choosing not to reveal itself yet. As if it wanted her to walk toward it. As if it expected her to. And for the first time, she realized the city wasn't following her anymore. It had come inside. She stepped into the hallway, and the bathroom light flicked on by itself, bright, sudden, and absolutely deliberate. Not a glitch, not a flicker, someone had hit the switch. The shower curtain, which she always kept pulled tight, was now half open. A wet footprint marked the tile directly in front of it. Not smeared, not distorted. A perfect print, like someone had stepped out only seconds before she arrived. She didn't move closer, she didn't need to. The sound came first, something tapping against the mirror. Slow, rhythmic, like a fingernail dragging across glass in short, deliberate strokes. Then the tapping stopped. A second later, the mirror fogged over from the inside. Not from steam, not from heat, from breath. Letters began forming on the glass, drawn by a hand she couldn't see. Each stroke appeared with the weight of someone standing directly in front of it, writing with purpose. 3 words, clear, sharp, impossible to misread. I know you. The bathroom went silent again, but the footprint was still wet, and the mirror kept breathing. She stepped toward the bathroom, and the mirror wiped itself clean in one smooth motion, like a hand dragged straight across it, clearing the fog in a single swipe. The letters vanished. The glass shone back at her. Then her bedroom door slammed. Not a draft, not a vibration, a full force, intentional slam that shook the frame. She spun toward the sound, and something ran across the floor of her room, fast, heavy, and absolutely not trying to hide. The footsteps weren't human. They were too quick, too uneven, like something using more than 2 limbs. Her closet door rattled. Once, then again, harder. She reached the doorway just as the door burst open from the inside. Clothes spilled out, hangers snapping, boxes toppling as if something had torn its way through them. A shape moved behind the mess, low to the ground, fast, and gone before she could track it. Then her phone lit up on the nightstand. A notification she hadn't heard come in. A message from an unknown number. 3 words, I'm not done. The phone vibrated again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a video call. From her own number. The phone kept ringing, her own number flashing across the screen like someone was calling her from inside her life. She didn't answer. She didn't move. The call ended on its own, and immediately another notification appeared, this time a video file she hadn't recorded. It opened by itself. The footage showed her apartment hallway, filmed from a low angle, like the camera had been placed on the floor. She watched herself walk past it, same clothes, same hair, same exact moment she'd just lived. But in the video, something followed behind her. A hand, long fingers, dragging across the wall as it moved. She froze as the camera panned on its own, turning toward her bedroom. The door she'd just seen slam shut was already open in the footage. Something crouched inside the room, too still, too deliberate, like it was waiting for the right second to stand. Then the figure in the video lifted its head, not toward the camera, toward her, as if it knew she was watching. The screen went black. Her bedroom door creaked open again. This time, she heard breathing that wasn't hers. She backed away from the bedroom doorway, but something inside the room moved faster. A hand shot out from the darkness, thin, pale, and unmistakably human, and grabbed the edge of her nightstand. Not searching, not reaching, pulling itself forward. The nightstand scraped across the floor as whatever was attached to that hand dragged its weight into view. She didn't wait to see the rest. She bolted for the living room, but the TV turned on the moment she entered, static filling the screen, loud enough to rattle the frame. The static cut out. A live feed replaced it. Her bedroom, right now, shot from above, like a camera was mounted in the ceiling. She watched the figure crawl fully into view, long limbs, jerking movements, head lowered like it was listening for her. It paused, then turned sharply toward the doorway she'd just run through. The TV glitched. The camera angle changed. Now it showed the living room. Her, standing in front of the screen. The figure stepped into frame behind her on the TV, but the room around her was silent. She didn't turn. She didn't need to. Something cold brushed the back of her shirt. She spun around, but nothing was behind her, nothing she could see. The cold touch on her shirt vanished, replaced by the sound of something sprinting down her hallway. Not footsteps, not crawling, something moving with speed and weight, like it knew exactly where it wanted to go. Her kitchen lights flicked on one by one, rapid and mechanical, as if someone was walking through the room and hitting each switch in passing. A cabinet door slammed, then another, then all of them at once, opening and closing in a violent rhythm that shook the dishes inside. She grabbed the nearest thing she could use as a weapon, a metal spatula, and the moment she lifted it, every light in the apartment shut off. Total darkness. Something scraped across the floor directly in front of her, then behind her, then to her left. It was circling her in the dark, fast enough that she couldn't track the sound. She swung blindly, metal hitting nothing but air. A voice whispered from inches away. Not a growl, not a hiss. A voice. You shouldn't have watched. The light snapped back on. Every cabinet in the kitchen was wide open, and something stood at the far end of the room, half turned toward her, as if it had been waiting for her to see it. The thing at the end of the kitchen didn't move at first. It just stood there, half turned, like it was waiting for her to decide whether she was going to run or scream. She didn't do either. She tightened her grip on the spatula, and the moment she did, it reacted. It sprinted, not toward her, past her. It shot across the kitchen so fast the air shifted behind it, slamming into the hallway wall hard enough to rattle the picture frames. She spun, but it was already gone, disappearing into the dark like it had melted straight into the floorboards. Then her front door unlocked. She heard the deadbolt slide back. Then the chain, then the handle turning. She lunged for it, but the door swung open before she reached it. Her hallway outside was empty, but something had been there. She could feel the cold draft rushing in, the kind that only happens when someone has just stepped away. She slammed the door shut, locked it again, and backed away. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A new message. Same unknown number. Look outside. She didn't want to. She did anyway. She pulled the curtain back just enough to see the street. Someone was standing directly under her window. Not moving, not hiding, just staring straight up at her apartment like they'd been waiting for her to look. Her phone buzzed again. You're late. She dropped the curtain and stepped back, but the phone buzzed again, this time with a live video feed. It opened on its own, showing the street below. The person under her window didn't move, didn't shift, didn't even blink. But the camera zoomed in without her touching the screen, tightening on their face until the image distorted. Then the figure lifted its hand. Not to wave, not to signal, to point directly at her window. Her living room lights shut off. Something ran across the ceiling above her, fast, heavy, and following the exact path she took through the apartment. The plaster cracked with each impact, dust falling in thin lines as whatever was up there tracked her movements with absolute precision. She bolted toward the front door, but it swung open before she reached it. Not slowly, not ominously, it flew open like someone had kicked it from the outside. Cold air rushed in, carrying the sound of footsteps pounding up the stairwell. Not one set, several, coming straight for her floor. Her phone buzzed again. Last chance. The footsteps hit the landing outside her door. And then the lights in the hallway went out. The hallway lights outside her apartment stayed dead, but the footsteps didn't stop. They hit the top step, then the landing, then the floor right outside her door, heavy, fast, and too many to count. She backed away, but the door handle twisted before she could take a second step. Not slowly, not cautiously, it spun like someone was trying to rip it off. She grabbed the nearest chair and jammed it under the handle just as the first impact hit the door. The wood bowed inward. A second hit followed, harder, cracking the frame. A third blow splintered the top hinge. Something outside growled, not animal, not human, something caught between the two, like a throat trying to form words it didn't know how to speak. Her phone buzzed again. A new message. Open it. She didn't. She ran to the kitchen, grabbed her keys, and headed for the fire escape window. But when she reached it, the glass was already cracked from the outside, a long fracture running straight across the pane like someone had pressed their forehead against it until it broke. The door behind her took another hit. This one tore the bottom hinge clean off. She didn't have time to think. The door was coming down, and whatever was behind it wasn't waiting anymore. The final hinge snapped, and the door crashed inward, slamming against the wall hard enough to shake the floor. She didn't wait to see what came through. She sprinted toward the fire escape window, grabbed the nearest chair, and smashed it against the cracked glass. The pane shattered outward, raining shards onto the metal steps below. Something crawled into the apartment behind her, fast, scraping across the floor like it was dragging too many limbs. She didn't look back. She climbed through the broken window, cutting her arm on the jagged edge, and dropped onto the fire escape. The metal stairs vibrated. Something was climbing up from below. Not slowly, not cautiously, it was coming straight for her. She bolted upward, taking the steps two at a time, but the thing below moved faster, slamming against the railing as it climbed. She reached the top platform and grabbed the ladder to the roof, only to find it already pulled up, out of reach, like someone had taken it away on purpose. The creature hit the platform behind her. She turned. It wasn't one, it was three, all crawling out of her apartment window, one after another, pulling themselves onto the fire escape with movements that didn't match any human body she'd ever seen. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. One new message: "You're not getting away." The three creatures pulled themselves fully onto the platform, their limbs scraping against the metal as they straightened in uneven, jerking motions. She didn't wait for them to settle. She grabbed the railing, swung her leg over, and dropped to the fire escape below. The impact rattled her knees, but she kept moving. She sprinted down the stairs, metal clanging under her feet. Above her, the creatures followed, fast, coordinated, and gaining on her with every level she descended. She hit the bottom platform and jumped the last 6 feet to the alley. She landed hard, stumbled, and caught herself against the brick wall. The alley was empty, but the fire escape above shook violently as the creatures reached the final ladder. She ran. The alley opened onto the street, and she didn't stop to look for cars. She crossed without checking, nearly getting clipped by a delivery van. The driver leaned on the horn, but she didn't slow down. She sprinted toward the nearest building with an open door, a laundromat with flickering lights and a single customer inside. She burst through the entrance, startling the man folding clothes. He opened his mouth to say something, but the front windows behind her went dark as 3 shadows passed across them at once. The man stepped back. What the hell was that? She didn't answer. The shadows stopped outside the glass. All 3, perfectly still, watching her. Her phone buzzed again. This time, the message wasn't text. It was a location pin, and it was inside the laundromat. She stared at the location pin on her phone, and the dot wasn't vague or approximate. It was exact, centered on the laundromat, right where she was standing. Before she could react, the dryers along the back wall all powered on at once, their doors slamming shut like something had kicked them from the inside. The man who'd been folding clothes backed toward the exit, eyes wide. "What is this? What did you bring in here?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. One of the dryers stopped spinning. Then another. Then all of them. The doors clicked open in perfect unison. Inside each drum, something shifted. Cloth, plastic, metal. She couldn't tell. But the sound wasn't random. It was coordinated, like something was crawling out of each machine at the same time. The man bolted for the door. He didn't make it. Something yanked him backwards so fast his feet left the ground. He hit the floor hard, sliding across the tiles toward the open dryers. His nails scraped the linoleum as he tried to grab anything, but he was dragged straight into the nearest machine. The door slammed shut behind him. The dryer turned on. She ran for the back exit, but the moment she reached it, her phone buzzed again. A new message: "Don't run, you're next." The dryers behind her all clicked open again. Empty. Whatever had taken him was already out. And it was somewhere in the room with her. She didn't wait to see what was moving in the laundromat. She sprinted between the rows of machines, heading for the back hallway. Something followed, fast, scraping across the floor like it was dragging itself upright as it moved. The emergency exit door at the end of the hall slammed shut before she reached it. The lock clicked from the outside. She grabbed the handle and yanked, but it didn't budge. Behind her, one of the washers powered on. Then another, then all of them. The machines shook violently, metal rattling like something inside was trying to break out. One washer lurched forward, dragging itself across the floor toward her. The next one followed, slamming into the first like they were being pushed from the inside. She backed into the locked door as the machines advanced in a straight line, closing the distance with mechanical force. The floor vibrated under her feet. Her phone buzzed again. A new message: "Turn around." She didn't. The machines stopped moving. The room went silent. Then a hand slid out from under the nearest washer, thin, gray, and gripping the tile hard enough to crack it. Another hand followed. Then a face pressed against the glass door of the machine, staring out at her with eyes that didn't blink. The door latch clicked. It was unlocking itself. The washer door snapped open, and the thing inside dropped onto the floor like it had been waiting for the latch to release. It hit the tiles on all fours, limbs bending the wrong way as it pushed itself upright. Another machine clicked, then another. More hands slid out from the drums, gripping the floor, pulling bodies forward. She didn't wait to see how many were coming. She grabbed the metal cart beside her and shoved it into the nearest creature. It crashed backward into the washer, but the others kept crawling out, fast, coordinated, and closing in from both sides of the hallway. She bolted toward the folding tables, vaulted over one, and sprinted for the front of the laundromat. The shadows outside the windows moved instantly, shifting to block her path. She didn't slow. She grabbed a chair, hurled it at the glass, and the window shattered outward. She climbed through the broken frame, cutting her leg on the way out, and hit the sidewalk hard. Behind her, the creatures slammed into the window frame, their hands clawing at the edges as they tried to force themselves through. A car screeched to a stop in front of her. The passenger door flew open. A woman leaned across the seat, eyes wide, shouting at her to get in. She didn't ask who she was. She dove into the car. The woman hit the gas before the door even closed. As they sped away, the creatures poured out of the laundromat window behind them, hitting the street in a swarm. The woman didn't look back. "You weren't supposed to survive that," she said. The woman floored the gas, weaving through traffic like she'd done this before. Behind them, the creatures hit the street in a full sprint, climbing over cars and tearing across the asphalt. One of them leapt onto the trunk, claws scraping metal as it tried to pull itself forward. The woman didn't flinch. She jerked the wheel hard, slamming the creature against a parked truck and sending it rolling across the pavement. She glanced at her. "They're not the worst thing coming."